Hello, thank you for tuning in to the Women's Fund virtual series. Today we're going to be going over stress and coping. My name is Andrea Watkins and I am a coordinator for the Women's Fund. The Women's Fund has usually always taught classes to face-to-face with our clients, like women and girls. And since we're going through all of this, we decided that we should do this virtually and that you can access it whenever you would like. So the Women's Fund has been around for 40 years, and we have been giving out publications on health education and, again, doing classes and seminars for our clients. So today's topic is going to be stress and coping, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And then we will go through this from the beginning, if I can get it to work. Awesome. So a little bit about me. I actually have my bachelor's in psychology, and I'm in grad school right now to be a therapist. So this stress and coping is something that we do talk about a lot in classes, and how to overcome it and how to help clients really be that resilient person and get over what it is that's stressing them out. So with that being said, what my agenda for today is, or what we're wanting to discuss is these session objectives is to understand what stress is and how to recognize it, how to discuss a framework for time management, because time management and stress management go hand in hand, and then how to practice exercises that can reduce stress. If we have a couple of minutes, we will do a meditation, which is really my goal. But if not, then I can give you some resources and an overview of how meditation works. So for today's agenda, again, we're going to dive deep into what stress is and what it's all about, what your body does, how the brain functions, and then we're going to do a little bit on how to cope with it, and then again some relaxation techniques. Okay, so what does stress mean to you? Stress is something that is very unique in the sense that your body does its own thing when it is under stress. But stress has been something that has been around for a long time. Stress is something that cavemen used to use, whether it was to run away from tigers or to actually fight with tigers. So this is something that our body releases through hormones. You know, there's chemical synapses that release cortisol, which is what stress does. Like, it runs all throughout your body. So sometimes you try to suppress it. Sometimes we think, oh no, I'm not stressed out at all. But actually your body is trying to tell you, hey, something is stressing us out. So if you could probably guess in one word, the way that you could define stress is probably tension, or the feeling of overwhelming, you know, all this pressure. So it is a pressure, a tension that is exerted on a material object. It's a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. So we can be stressed out about something else that's outside, like for instance, we have work demands, or we have the pressure of raising children, or, you know, the pressure of being a good partner. Or it could be something that's internal with you. Maybe you're putting pressure on yourself to do these deadlines. You're putting the pressure on yourself to be that perfect parent. So stress is very unique to you, but it's still something that all of us go through. Now, stress usually does get a bad reputation about just being all sorts of negative, but it can be positive. It can happen whenever we're going through a competition, whenever you're getting fired up for something. Maybe you're about to go play golf with your friends and, you know, a little friendly competition. It could be failure. We could go through something and it doesn't go as expected and we fall flat on our face, but we can always learn from it. That's where failure can be positive, I'm so sorry. Getting up in the morning. It's that blaring alarm that just says it's time to wake up, it's time to do things. So getting up in the morning is usually stressful. Trying something new. A lot of times people don't try something new because they're afraid that they're going to fail at it. But you may not know that this is something that you're actually pretty good at, that you enjoy doing, that you like the feeling of what this new hobby is giving you. So trying something new can be negative. Again, positive. I'm so sorry. Looking for a job. So a lot of pressure with searching for a job with finances or building your resume, interviewing, all of this looking for a job can be either positive or negative, but it can be positive in the sense that you're achieving, the goals that you wanted in your career path. And then of course, no brainer, raising children is very stressful, especially right now with, the homeschooling and the constant being around each other, the I'm bored, the I'm hungry, raising children can be very stressful, but we can always try to find something that's positive about it. So what we're going to focus a little bit on is chronic stress. So this is stress that you're feeling all the time. So when we talk about caveman times, so this hormone that was released, it was every now and then. They didn't face tigers every day, right? They probably had to fight for their lives or run for their lives, not as often as they want to. But the thing that we do is we are chronically stressed out over things that don't really matter, like per se, maybe checking your Facebook, it makes you feel negative, or maybe being stuck in traffic. Since we live in Houston, that causes daily stresses, getting the children ready for school. That can be chronic, that can be daily, and that is when it turns negative. So the way that we can help fix it is how we look at the way that we handle these daily stressors. So with that being said, it is very important that we learn how to cope with stress for your emotional and mental health, because you don't want these chemicals just in your body daily affecting you. And then now things start to happen in your body, your health starts to deteriorate. You ask yourself, like, no, I'm active, I eat healthy, what's going on? It's probably because you're suppressing stress, and that's what's flaring up in your body. So stress can be destructive when it's excessive and you start to feel nervous or anxious all the time. Again, before you do something big, like before you present or before you have to talk in front of people, you usually do get those anxious feelings, and that's perfectly fine. Stress is, again, normal, but if you start to feel that every day, then that's when it can be destructive. Feeling grouchy all the time, frustrated, forgetful, you start to forget things, your list of priorities start to just get all mushed up when it goes to having trouble thinking clearly. And then health issues. That's what's most important. Again, your body is going to try to let you know something is happening, whether you try to suppress that stress or not. So what causes people to be overly stressed? First and foremost, with surveys all across the country, it's finances and money. That is the number one daily and life stressor. It also actually feeds into the reason why there's so many divorces in our country as well. So finances and money, getting those bills paid is something that everyone struggles with. Work or career path, especially right now when we're heading into uncharted waters. We have no idea what our job will look like tomorrow or what the economy will look like in 6 months from now. So work is something that can stress you out. Or maybe your job in particular, it stresses you out because of all the things that you have to do, right? So maybe you have a lot of deadlines. Maybe you have a lot on your plate, because your boss is giving it to you or your coworkers need help with stuff. So work in a nutshell can be very stressful. Peer pressure from either your family or your friends, or maybe even the own pressure that you put on yourself, the whole perfect. I want to be a perfect parent. I want to be a perfect partner. Sometimes we have to not necessarily diminish those expectations, but we have to make sure that we're being reasonable and that we're being real with ourselves of what we can and cannot do. your mental health. That is super important. You know, you don't want to always feel lonely. You don't always want to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one that's stressed out and nobody can help me through this stress. Relationship problems, those will happen all the time. You know, usually you get stressed out over certain people. There's certain people in your life that just really irk you, that stress you out just being around them. And unfortunately, it could be sometimes the people that we live with, or it could be people that we work with. So how do we better navigate those relationship problems so that you're not stressed out all the time? And I just realized that career path is on there twice, so forgive me. But body image, self-image, your weight, you know, sometimes you feel like, oh, if only I lost X amount of weight, I would feel better. But is it really going to make you feel better? You know, is your health is more important than the aesthetic version of body image or self-image, but sometimes your weight is very important to you. And again, it goes to health or illnesses. Stress will help feed some of these diseases or some of these things that are wrong with us. You know, you might not even know it. And then living in a dangerous neighborhood, or even moving out of that dangerous neighborhood can be very stressful. There's probably tons of other things that are very stressful that I didn't put on here, but these are just some of the more bigger ones that we've run across. So what are the symptoms and signs that you may be too stressed out? Again, you might just realize, why is my hair falling out so much? Or why am I always tense all the time? You don't know what it truly is, but it could be stress just trying to creep up on you saying, we need to figure this out. So low energy, you feel like all your energy is giving into one task, and then now you're just depleted of energy, and now you don't want to do anything. Headaches, very common. Stomach aches, a lot of gut-brain connection, so that you'll have a lot of digestive issues, is very common. Trouble sleeping, you know, just tossing and turning because you have so much on your plate. Overreacting to petty annoyances. Usually things that don't annoy you are annoying you every second. Constant worrying about this, worrying about that, worrying about, oh my goodness, did the kids finish their homework? So just examples of just constantly worrying. Now I know that in some personalities, worrying is a little bit more comforting or something that they know very well. But if you can relax from all the constant worrying and maybe just worry on a couple of things, or maybe diminish the time that you worry, that can help you out. Other symptoms could be difficulty concentrating. You have racing thoughts because your priority list, again, is all over the place. You can feel lonely or worthless. You might think that this stress is something that's just, you're the only one that's stressing over it, when in reality, there's probably a lot of people that are feeling the same way that you are. You just don't know it. Changes in weight. Some people eat a lot when they're stressed, that comfort eating, that ice cream, the cupcakes, or maybe you just don't eat at all because your stomach is full of nerves and you don't eat. Laughing or crying for no reason. That can happen just as frequently as you may not even realize. Wanting to be alone. And then the one I really want to focus on is not being able to see the positive, not enjoying the activities that usually bring you joy. Now, if it's been over a month and you cannot get out of bed and you don't find joy in anything, you just feel alone and you feel sad, there's nothing wrong with talking to a mental health professional. It's super important that you get these thoughts out and have a professional help you, because again, you're not alone in a lot of these things. You just probably need to go a different avenue. Maybe talking to someone that's not related to you is what will help you. So I kind of like visuals, and so these are probably maybe some of the images that I felt can feel like stress. You don't have to put words on it, but maybe you just feel some of these things that these people are feeling when you're stressed out. headaches, again, crying all the time. A simple task can annoy you. Just feeling like this is too much, it's overwhelming. How am I going to get through this? You could try to pretend that everything's okay when you're actually extremely nervous and you're on the verge of either a panic attack or a nervous breakdown. Again, stress eating. You can eat, and have no idea that you've just finished a gallon of Blue Bell by yourself. Or again, just raising children, watching children, thinking, why is this happening to me? Why can't I just catch a break? So on the health aspect, stress increases the risk for a lot of things. So accidents, because you have racing thoughts, you're not thinking clearly. So more accidents are prone to happen. Again, headaches, bowel digestions, poor digestion, or bowel disorders, skin disorders, maybe something might flare up when you're stressed out. Eating disorders, not are controlling what goes in and out of your body because you feel like you can't control anything else. Ulcers, emotional disorders, asthma attack, high blood pressure, colds, infections, backache or muscle tensions, immune disorders, heart attacks, and cancer. It's really real how some of your cells just feed off that stress hormones that are get released. So the more you learn how to calm your stress, the more you say, okay, you know what, let's focus on the present, the more that you can help yourself not get some of these risks. So stress management goes hand in hand with time management, but it's the ability to maintain control when situations, people, and events make excessive demands. If you know that you have a big project coming up, if you know that you have a big deadline, or your kids are about to go through testing or something that is coming up, the best thing that you can do is time and stress management. So what strategies can you apply to better deal with stress? So in order to cope with stress, we first and foremost might need to figure out what is causing it. You can do a body scan. You can say, okay, what is it that is hurting, or what is it that's causing me to give all of its attention to? It can help you understand common personal stressors. If you know that the dishes piling up stress you out, then communicate that, or tell your family, hey, do the dishes, or just don't even go into the kitchen. There are certain triggers that we have that stress us out. So the faster we can identify it, the better that we can cope with them. When you try to give yourself that unrealistic expectation that, oh no, nothing stresses me out, I'm okay, I'm super chill all the time, maybe do some reevaluation, because maybe there is something that you are just constantly putting in the back of your mind, but that is what is causing you stress. So when you go see a doctor, they usually ask you these top 3 things. How is your physical activity? What's your diet like? And how are you sleeping? So these 3 things are the top most important things when it comes to coping with stress. Most importantly, exercise. There's studies done all across time that exercise is what can help you reduce your stress. Now, exercising regularly does not mean going to run 2 miles a day or taking all these classes at the Y. It just means focusing on your breath and being present in the moment, which could be taking your dog for a walk, or maybe it could mean playing a sport with your child outside, or it could be, maybe doing some push-ups or some crunches during commercials. Anything that can get your body moving is what's going to be really helpful. Nutrition, eating healthy foods, the consumption of veggies and fruits and whole grains. This is always a very important thing, because you are what you eat. And if you constantly eat Whataburger, Blue Bell, all these things are going to they might be a temporary feel good, but then after you're going to kind of feel like, ugh, why did I just eat that? So it's kind of like a cycle. So if we can eat something that makes us feel good because, wow, I just ate that salad, then why not do that? It says avoid caffeine, nicotine, and sugar. Now, some of these things is what we go to whenever we're stressed out, especially nicotine. Sugar is something that is very comforting as well, that releases those feel-good hormones from your brain. But sometimes we don't need that because our brain is already going through so much. So the more, again, that we can focus on drinking plenty of water and fruits and veggies, things that will just make you feel good and your body feel great. So sleeping, I know that is kind of like if I'm stressed out, I'm not going to sleep. So it's kind of like a thing of a cycle that you don't know how to break. What comes first, the not sleeping or the stress? So making sure that you realize what your sleep hygiene is. You know, are you a person that has to mindlessly play games to go to bed? Are you someone that has to have the TV on? You know, is there something that you have to do to incorporate to help you sleep better, but is it actually causing you to not sleep, right? So they always say turn off all the lights, make it nice and cold, make sure that you are in a comfortable position for you to actually go to sleep, and then try to push all of those racing thoughts of the things that are worrying you away. Your support system is really important. You know, right now we can't physically see people, but we can reach out just like this. We can text them, we can FaceTime them. You know, some of us like to do that already. Some of us don't really like to see the person face to face. So this is actually how you are a support system to someone, but making sure that you have people that you can reach out to. You know, you don't have to have 17 best friends. You can at least have one or two that you keep up with, that, you know, ask, hey, how's it going? How are you? Knowing that someone is there for you, and maybe you being there for someone as well. Nurturing yourself. You know, self-care is not important. Self-care is not selfish, is what I meant. I'm so sorry. Self-care is very important in the sense that you do what feels good to you. Do you want to take 10 minutes longer in a bubble bath? Do you want to lay in bed for about another 20 minutes before you get your day started? It's whatever it is that you enjoy, something that you know is going to make you feel better. And it's very important when it comes to managing your stress. Time management, again, go ahead, plan out your priorities. Just list out the things that you have to do that day. You might not be a list person, but as you can tell through all the bullet points, lists are something that can just help you get back on track, right? Especially being stuck at home right now. Maybe working at home, you can't make yourself think straight. So write a weekly to-do list, set your priorities, put the things that you need to do at the top, and then maybe the things that you'll get to later. If coping with stress for you is watching Netflix for 3 hours, okay, well then maybe let's slowly start doing 2 hours or 1 hour, so we can get to the things that we really need to do. Now, I'm not saying that you need to get rid of your time consuming things like Facebook or, again, Netflix or anything. Just maybe start reducing the time and see how you feel now that you can accomplish all the other things. Communication. When you get stressed out, you get very irritated. You can say things that you don't mean. You can take out your stress on someone that doesn't need to, you know, get that bad side of you. So really communicating in a way that you can say, hey, I'm not feeling good, or I have this deadline coming up. I'm probably going to be a little bit more irritated, and then going to do those self-care things so that you make sure that you don't take it out on people that it doesn't need to be taken out on. So iMessages are something that you can use in a time of conflict. So usually when you're upset, the first thing that you do is, you know, you are such a bad person, or you don't ever help me, or you XYZ, right? So you're always going to say you. Well, the thing about iMessages is getting that message across, but a little bit more gracefully. So saying, I feel like you don't help me with the house chores, or I feel embarrassed because, you know, XYZ. So you are putting the accountability on you, and the person can help you process those. So when you go up to someone in an attack manner, like, you are so lazy, that person's not really listening to you. That person is just waiting to attack back. So they're always going to be on defense if you start off that aggressively. So iMessages is making sure that you are telling the person how you feel, because your feelings are valid, right? And then reflective listening is listening with intention, listening and actually closing your mouth and opening both ears, right? So someone is trying to tell you about their day, and the last thing someone wants to do is get interrupted about the things that you've done today or how you can relate to that story. So reflective listening is just really taking it in, and then when they're done, saying, you know, thank you for telling me that. Would you like me to give you some advice, or were you just venting, right? And then maybe following up with whatever it was that this person told you the next day through a text or in person. Saying no assertively just means that no means no. No is a complete sentence. I know that that's easier said than done, because sometimes we want to say no, but we end up saying yes. But what can happen when you say yes is that you end up causing more stress on yourself because you did not plan for that to happen. So a quick example, you know, maybe your sister asks you to pick up the kids, and obviously not during these times, but let's say at one point your sister's asking you to pick up the kids from school because she has to stay over for work. And while usually you always say yes because, you know, you're a nice person, maybe saying no today will really help you accomplish the other things that you have to accomplish, right? So saying no, you know, you can say, sorry, give me a better heads up next time, or just simply saying no will work. Avoiding the things that cause you stress or unnecessary stress. Now, again, it could be some of our family members, could be some of our coworkers that causes this unnecessary stress. But if you know that someone just, you know, is that thorn on your side, or you know that they're just going to come and overwhelm you with information, you know, again, communicating, saying, I value what you have to say, but at this time I'm focused on this. You know, making sure that you address them, but letting them know that you have other things that you have to get done. That always or never thinking that, oh, I'm never going to be good at that, or, oh, I'm always bad at that. Try to avoid that. You know, you really might surprise yourself when you do something, when you put your head down. You can pretty much accomplish anything you want to, but you just really have to have that motivation and try to take out that always and never thinking. Try to avoid controlling the uncontrollable. And we are in a perfect situation for that. We can't control what's going on. This virus is not something that, oh yeah, I'm going to control it because I am going to stay in for 14 days, but then I'm going to go out and do whatever I want. Like, no, this virus is not going to listen to anyone, and you can't control it. So the best thing that you can do is try to make more of your time being at home, or maybe use this as a time to really bond with your family or get work done, you know, things that you know that you can control. And then adjust your attitude to the situation. Stress is always going to come in your life and knock you down, right? But the faster that you can get up, the faster of how positively you react to it, stress is going to have a hard time knocking you down now. So the more positive that you can stay, the more you can react positively, the better that you can, you know, fight that stress. So with this image, what is a rubber band? So the job of a rubber band is, you know, to hold things together. Speaking, you know, to women, we usually are the caregivers. You know, we're the ones that take care of the children. Some of us could be taking care of our parents or our siblings. Sometimes we are also the breadwinners. We're going to work, or we're doing the chores at home. So we have a lot of things that we're doing. And so you get expanded. right? There's one task, but then here come 14 other tasks, and you just start to get more and more expanded. So eventually our rubber band pops, right? So make sure that you can hold what you can and not try to extend yourself too much. Know what you can and cannot do. You know, maybe you want to surprise yourself and add one more task to what you're doing, but maybe there's just not time for it. Make sure that you can always be within the proximity of the things that you can do and not extend yourself too much. So this is a worksheet that we usually give out in class. It's been really weird not having, you know, comments and questions being answered and physically giving our worksheets out. But if you want to, you can always email us and we will give you this worksheet. So this is kind of like a quadrant that you can use that will help you kind of prioritize what it is that you have to do, right? So the big question is, what percentage of your day is spent in each zone? So maybe you do have to work 8 hours, right? So, and then being a parent is also full-time too. There's no 9 to 5. So start to see what's important and what's urgent. So maybe your sibling is sick and it's very important and urgent that you call them every day. So start adding that in, putting some time on it, right? Maybe the Netflix things, you can actually see that you are spending a big chunk of your evening on it. You know, maybe let's see what we can start to reduce to make more important things a priority. This is another worksheet, it's front and back. This is things that you can use to help you kind of handle your stress, kind of what you're willing to try, what things that you've heard of that help other people, right? So if maybe your mother-in-law says, oh, wow, I really like to bike for my evening. It really helps me reduce my stress. Maybe it'll help you, right? People are always wanting to help you. So maybe just take some of the things that you've heard before that works for them, and maybe try to apply it to you because maybe it could work for you as well. So for this exercise, we actually don't have a lot of time, but I will lead you through what meditation is. So meditation is not just sitting on the floor, Indian style, making really weird noises. Meditation is kind of just carving out some time for you and just you, right? So it's focusing on your breath. That's the main objective of meditation, is focusing on doing 3 breaths in and then 3 breaths out. Breathing is something that we take for granted a lot, and we're either too busy on something that we forget to just take a moment and just breathe, right? That oxygen to your brain and your body and your lungs is really important, but sometimes we're so used to just doing everything on a daily basis that we don't take time to get in those full breaths in and full breaths out. So I challenge you, you know, if you've never meditated before, you think it's weird, you think it's a waste of time, you know, maybe try to step outside. Maybe the chaos is in your home. So try to take a step outside. Try to go to your backyard and just either sit on a chair or, you know, just lay out a blanket and sit on the grass and just focus on taking 3 really strong seconds of breaths in and then exhaling those breaths out. And then another part of it is just focusing on the present, right? So while you're sitting there, you're probably thinking, oh no, I have 10 other things I could be doing right now. But this is really important for you to take time for yourself and just focus on the present. Don't focus on what's about to happen. Don't focus on the things that happen throughout your day. Just your breathing and the present. And then the gratefulness, you know, of just being there. Making time for you is what's most important. So before I conclude this presentation, I do want to thank you for your time. You know, just take a deep breath. I know that we're going through a lot right now and we don't know what's going to happen. We're sick of being home, but I do challenge you to just try to do things that work best for you and communicate that with your family, communicate that with your coworkers, saying, you know what, I really just need a day for myself, or I need an hour for myself. On top of the worksheets that we have, I wanted to also give you some other resources that I think will work really well. Just give me one moment. So I know we are hearing a lot about the CDC right now, and they keep saying social distancing and they keep saying all these things, but the CDC is also a really good resource for other things revolving our health. And stress and coping is something they've already had on their website, but now they've updated to help you with, you know, the coronavirus and what's been going on and how you can diminish your stress by giving you facts. You know, maybe you do have to turn off the TV because it's causing you so much stress. Just turn it off for a day. Trust me, you're going to hear that news somehow, some way. Another resource that I actually just learned is, what kind of worrier are you? Do you worry all the time? Do you just think, no, it's okay, it'll get figured out? This will kind of help you. It's a little questionnaire that will help you see on the scale of worry where you fall. And maybe if you're a constant worrier, let's start to see what it is that we worry about and how we can fix it. This is a really good resource to give, you know, to your family members as well. And then TED Talks. I'm such a fan of TED Talks. Some of them are 4 minutes long, some of them are 14 minutes. But if you just go to TED.com and you put in stress, they give really good resources. And what you can do breaks it down. So those are 3 of my favorite resources when it comes to stress. So again, thank you for listening and tuning in. We are actually giving away evaluations so that we can better these presentations. We want to make sure that everything is working for you, you know, what to focus on more, or, you know, any feedback would be wonderful for us, as this is a new thing that we're doing, right? We usually do this just with our students, but now we want to make sure that everyone's getting reached in times like this. So it's a quick SurveyMonkey questionnaire. And if you could do that, that would be just the greatest thing for us. So thank you very much and have a good day.